brought to you by Addis Ababa City Education Bureau in collaboration with Addis Media Network. So today's lesson is vocabulary, and it is taken from Unit 5, Lesson 17. So before we talk about vocabularies, the different vocabularies found in this chapter, I want us to go back to the earlier lesson and revise a few things that we talked about last time. So if you remember in lesson 16, we talked about will and going to. So what is will? If you remember, will is a modal verb and we use it in different kinds of situations. For example, we use it to talk about future predictions. We also use it to talk about promises and also offers. Again, we also use it to talk about future situations and so many other. And I want you to go back and revise it if you have the time. And we also talk about going to. Just like will, going to is also used to talk about future actions with strong determinations and future predictions that are based on evidence, and also future intentions that have plans. So I want you to go back and revise that when you have time, and let's go to today's lesson. Today's lesson, as I said earlier, is lesson 17. It is taken from Unit 5, Lesson 17, and it is vocabulary. So there are some vocabularies that I want us to discuss and talk about today. The first vocabulary that we're going to see is conservation. What is conservation? What do you think is conservation? Conservation is the act protecting something from being lost. Or destroyed. This is what conservation is. For example, we have different kinds of conservation areas throughout the world. These conservation areas are set up by different governments around the world to protect the different wildlife that we have that is the same with our country. The second word that we want to discuss about is remediation. Remediation is the act or the process stopping damage to the environment. This is doing something to prevent something from happening, something bad, especially something negative, from happening to the environment. And we also see this, especially nowadays, we see it with people who are doing lots of remediation actions, like, for example, taking plastic off the streets, of the many streets that we see here in Addis Ababa. For example, it is clean. The city is clean now because different companies are bringing remediation ideas to the young people that are running around, or that are being in the street, or that are having fun and a great time in the street. So, remediation is the act of stopping damage to the environment. So we can protect our environment by doing so many things. By having a clean and hygienic city, we could have a very healthy way of living. So keep in mind to always do this process, to always do this action, and keep our environment safe. The third vocabulary that we're going to see is boost. What do you think is boost? Boost is the process or the act of increasing something. So this word is usually used by people who are in the economy world or business world. They use this word to describe how the economy or the business of a certain area or of a certain city or country is increasing. So to boost means the act of increasing something, the act of making something more than it already was. So a lot of people who are in the financial world use this word because it describes how, for example, a country that was not that developed becomes more developed over time, especially when they are talking about a GDP of a country, they use this word. Okay, our next word is recreation. Can you tell me, for example, some recreational centers here in the city or even in Ethiopia? There are so many recreational centers. Recreation centers are, in your case, youth centers where there are gymnastics, where there are different kinds of materials or equipments or machines you can have fun with, you can play with. So recreational centers are centers where you can have a lot of joy and enjoyment. So recreation is the process of enjoyment or the process of enjoying something. People usually have this to have fun, to enjoy. They could usually, one example I would give you as a recreational center is the cinema. For example, if you go to the mall, there are cinemas there where you can watch movies, where you can eat popcorn and do different fun activities. So recreation is the act or the process of enjoying and being happy. The next word that we have is reinforce. Reinforce is, again, the act or a process or an act of making something. In this case, it could be a feeling. It could be a feeling. It could be an idea. It could be a situation. It could be a material. Stronger. This is what reinforce means. To reinforce means the act of what? Having a feeling, an idea, a situation, or a material stronger. It's usually used to talk about ideas that are, for example, let's say a person is building something, let's say a building. So if a person is building a home or an office building, they have to reinforce the base of that building site, or else the building or the house that is built later on won't be as very strong. So reinforcing could be what? It could be a feeling, an idea, or a situation that becomes stronger. What else? We also have restoration. So restoration is the process of returning something to its original or natural state. Its natural state. This is also a word that is very much associated with constructions and buildings. So if you see restoration, just like reinforcement, we could use it to talk about different building sites. For example, this word is used by construction workers a lot to talk about how they want to restore something to its original form or its natural state. For example, there is, let's say, an old house. If there is an old house, if you do a restoration work on that building or on that house, it becomes new again. So they use this word to talk about demolitions or renovations. So restoration is the process of returning something to its natural state. We also have enhance. What does it mean to enhance? It is kind of similar to restoration. Restoration is bringing something very old to its former natural state, while enhance is to boost something, or the process of, or the act of improving something. This is improving something, while restoration is bringing back something to its natural state. So to enhance means to make something improve, to improve the process of something, okay? The process of improving something. For example, this could be to enhance, let's say, this word is also used a lot by people who are in the fitness industry, in the fitness career, people who do fitness consultation to a lot of people. Those people are found a lot in gymnastics areas or gymnasiums. They use this word a lot. They will tell you to enhance your body strength or your muscle strength, you should do this and that exercise. So enhancing is the process of improving something. The last word that we're going to see today is contaminate. If you remember remediation, if you remember conservation, we were talking about nature, the environment, and how we should keep it very clean, very safe for us and for the people around us, so we could have a very healthy life. So contaminate is the process or the act of making something go bad, or you could also say polluting something, okay? This is a word often associated with contaminate. Pollution, contaminate, right? If we say something is polluted, then it's most probably contaminated, right? So this word is, you could also say the opposite of remediation. In remediation, we talked about how we stop the process of making something go bad, right? And in this case, it is the act of making something go bad. So contaminating, usually people who are, let's say, in the health industry, people who are doctors, nurses, people who are midwives, they usually use this word to talk about how something is polluted, how something is gone bad. Let's say you got a stomach ache and you went to the hospital to get checked by the doctor. And if the doctor asks you, what food did you eat earlier? And if you start listing the food, the doctor might reply to you by saying, oh, this food is probably contaminated. So it is showing how this food has gone bad, and that's why you are sick and have gone to the hospital. So contaminate is the act of something going bad. So these are all the words that we are going to see in this unit, in this chapter. And I'm sure you're all going to do your best to keep your environment clean and not to contaminate it, and do remedial processes and do lots of things to help the people who are around you, your friends, your family, and also give awareness to your friends and family of how to keep your environment clean. Okay, so since we talked about all the meanings of these words, let's do a few exercises and see how well you could know the meaning. Okay, put the right vocabularies in the gaps given, okay? This is what we're gonna do. I will write you some few questions and I want you to copy it in your exercise books, and then we will do them together, okay? Number 1. The government of this city is doing its best to the economy. Okay, so I want you to fill in this gap by the correct or the best vocabulary that we have seen so far, okay? Number 2. The blank space is as much as possible. Okay. So what is protecting the wildlife as much as possible? So put your answer in the blank space or in the gap. So change. So these are a few questions that I want you to do. Some of the vocabularies may be changed in their ways. For example, some may be changed to its past form or the like. So take care when you are changing or putting the vocabulary there. Some might be changed a little bit. And I will give you a few seconds to finish this and we will do it together. I'm sure you will get all of these correct because it's very easy to do. Okay, I'm sure you have all tried your best to answer the questions correctly, and let's do them together. Let's see how well you have done, and let's see if there are some corrections that you need to do. The first one says, the government of this city is doing its best to dash the economy. What do you think? Earlier, when I was explaining the vocabularies, the words, I talked about how people in the financial world use the word boost, right? So boost is the answer for this. Boost the economy. The government of the city is doing its best to boost the economy. We said earlier, boost means to make something increase. So the government is doing something to increase the economy of the city. The second question says, the blank space is protecting the wildlife as much as possible. Again, earlier when I was explaining the meanings of the vocabularies, I talked about how different governments and different countries around the world have done so much to protect the wildlife. And what is that word? You guessed it correctly. It is conservation. The conservation is protecting the wildlife as much as possible is the answer. So conservations, remember this for next time, are places that protect the wildlife. And the third one, the river is blank space, so we must do something to change that. So there is an action, consequence, cause and effect, right? So something has happened. Because of that, we must what? Do something to prevent that, to change that, to stop that. So what do you think it is? The river is contaminated. Contaminated. I told you earlier, some of the vocabularies may change shape, and they may be in their past form or such. So this we have changed the contaminate into contaminated, right? The river is contaminated. It is polluted. It is not good. It's not safe for the environment. So we must change that. So these are some of the vocabularies that we have seen so far. Since we did this so far, why don't we add maybe one or two exercises and we'll close our class. Okay. The blank space center is holding different activities. That's one. Two, your strength. You must go to the gym. Okay. The house is going really well. Okay, I think that's enough. You could do these other exercises, and I will give you a few seconds to do it, and we'll come back and do it together. Okay, I think that's enough time, and I'm sure you have tried this again, and you may have gotten everything correct and some not correct, but it is okay. That is the process of learning. We lose some and we achieve some. Okay, so let's do it together. The dash center is holding different activities. What do you think? We said earlier when we were talking about something fun, something enjoyable, we talked about recreation, right? So the recreation center is holding what? Different activities like it could be sports activities, it could be different activities, fun activities. So recreation is a place where we go to have fun, to enjoy ourselves. So the recreation center. What about number 2? 2 dash your strength. To what? To boost your strength or to enhance, right? To enhance your strength, you must go to the gym, right? We said earlier when we were talking about enhance, how people in the fitness industry talk about how you must enhance your strength or your muscle strength or different strength of our body. So to enhance your strength, you must go to the gym. What about the last one? The dash of the house is going really well. Again, earlier we talked about construction and how people in the construction use a certain word. If you remember that, it is what? Restoration. The restoration of the house is going really well. Restoration is what? Bringing back something to its original state. So restoration meaning the house was very old, so the construction workers are doing really well to bring this house to its natural state. So these are all the vocabulary we're going to see today. I hope you all got something great out of this. And remember, we did not only learn them and did exercise on them, but we also have to use them when we're talking and when we're writing something, or remember to see them notice them when you are reading something. That's how we practice language. We don't only learn it in the board, but we also practice it. That's how we become really good at language. Thank you all for joining in, and I'll see you next time.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Delicious Cooking Series. Today